Are you trying to find out how to calculate the correct power needed for your UPS systems? Look no further.
It's actually a lot easier than people think. The first variable that we need to track down is what is the total power draw of all the devices that you're trying to back up.
Hey guys, are you trying to find out how to calculate the correct power needed for your UPS systems? Look no further. Bruno here from Flight Tech Computers at another episode of Tycon Tuesdays with Mr. Seth Allen. How's it going, Seth?
I'm great. How are you doing, Bruno?
Good, pretty good.
Good.
We've had a lot of questions of people asking us, how do I figure out how much battery I need for my UPS system? So people are excited to get UPS systems, have that continuous power going, but what do I do to figure out what, I need to get, how much power? So what can you tell us? How can we figure this out?
Yeah, you bet. It's actually a lot easier than people think. The first variable that we need to track down is what is the total power draw of all the devices that you're trying to back up, right?
Mhm.
So with that, we look at the data sheets, we'll look at the total power draw and the voltage requirements of all the devices, and then we need to know how many hours of backup power do they want, right? Do they just need an hour for those, occasional power outages that last just a few minutes? Do they need 6 hours or 8 hours? Is it a long-term thing, right? So that's basically all that we need to know. So what we do is we go to our calculator page. We look at first we get all the total power draw, right?
Mhm.
And then we go to our page and we just plug that in. So let's say that we're going to have a couple of cameras at 20 watts each, and maybe an access point. So let's just say 30 watts total power draw, just to have a nice round number.
Okay.
And we want 8 hours of battery backup power.
Gotcha.
We plug that in and we decide, do we want lead acid batteries or lithium? We did a video previously that talked about the differences, pros and cons, right? So let's just stick with lead acid batteries. We hit calculate and our calculator says we need at least a 40 amp hour battery bank. And it
Mhm.
gives us a suggested system, UPS 12-50-120. Now what that means is that our 50 amp hour battery, and it's capable up to 120 watts. So this will easily get you that 30 watts continuous for 8 hours a day, or sorry, for 8 hours at a time, right? Then
Mhm.
power comes back on, recharges the battery, fully restored. Now,
There we go.
another very common or, kind of newer application that we've seen a lot of is they have part-time power. Maybe you
Mhm.
have a light pole, right? And you have the lights go on at 8 p.m. So now you have power to that power pole, to that light pole. And then they cut off at 7 a.m. Well, so you need battery backup power for about 11 hours. So we can say, let's maybe bump that up and have some extra backup and say 14. Well, you can do that same system, choose 30 watts continuous, put in 14 hours of backup power. Now you need a 70 amp hour battery bank. And what happens is when the lights turn on, it charges your batteries. You're running off of AC power. When the lights turn off, you're now running off a battery during the day. Okay. So you would need the UPS 24 100 120. Double the battery bank size at 120 watts. So a very simple calculation, but gives you some extra peace of mind, or just when you need that dedicated power, you can't go down no matter what. You can use our UPS system that's completely outdoor rated, comes with your enclosure, different types of enclosure. We have polycarbonate, aluminum, steel, and die cast aluminum, as well as your battery bank, battery charger and controller, all the cables and mounting hardware. The great thing about our UPS systems, they're also solar ready. So we did our remote pro calculator before where we talked about solar. Well,
Mhm.
now you can add solar to that to give yourself some extra autonomy. So a lot of things you can do to have at your site so that you have that battery backup, surge protection, complete autonomy.
Awesome. And so I see obviously when you play around here and you change from lead acid to lithium, it does obviously take that into account, but quite a difference there. I found that pretty interesting of the amount of amp hours that you would need between the
It's
two
basically cutting it in half because if
right.
you remember from our previous, right, like lithiums, you can drain down to zero. Where lead acid, you really don't want to go under 50%. So
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. And for recharging, you mentioned like if you have a light pole where you have the light that comes on for some hours of the day. So you would just run like 110 into the controller that's here. How would you get power from the pole into the UPS system?
Yep, that's absolutely right. So the UPS systems will handle 110 up to 220, and I think it's actually up to 260
Wow. Okay.
volts
Cool.
AC. So
Cool.
it's versatile. It can handle whatever voltage. Now there are some that are like I'm not an electrician, but there's some like the three phase that's like 277 volts AC. You would need to
Sure.
do some sort of step down converter to get it
Okay.
within the range. But
Okay.
as long as you have access to the AC power, usually the power company would be the ones, or like your whoever owns the parking lot that has the access to that would be able to grant that access. But yeah, you can tap right in. Just make sure you're reading all the instructions, because dealing with that high voltage, you want to be very careful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you're doing so a lot of our customers are usually more on the network side of the low voltage. I mean, if you're going to be dealing with high voltage, you should probably contract or call somebody that knows what they're doing. If you don't, right? That's
Yeah,
probably a
absolutely.
good advice to give people.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, but this is awesome. Just, to be able to punch in some simple information that we can gather from data sheets, general time, and be able to get all the information we need, and even specific part numbers, of the systems that'll cover that range of power and time that we want. That's a really great calculator, really easy to use. So really awesome you
Yeah,
guys
for
put that
sure.
together. Yeah.
Well, and just want to reiterate, right? Because a lot of people are, oh, does that include the batteries? Yes, that's a complete system.
Mhm.
All you need is the pole to mount it
Yeah.
to, right?
Yeah.
So these systems they're complete, ready to go. Might need to add like a DC converter or a switch, right? PoE switch if you have
Mhm.
multiple devices. But
Mhm.
the UPS Pro is complete. It's a complete kit.
Awesome. Awesome. Glad to hear about this. Definitely we'll pass this along to our customers. Put a link here on the video as well for everybody. And yeah, like always, Seth, really appreciate the time and all the knowledge, man.
You bet. Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Bruno.
See you guys. Bye bye. Hey guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can get the latest from Flytech. Thanks.